Pasta, especially dry pasta, is usually your best bet. Fresh pasta is a little bit harder to make and it takes a little bit longer, so you want to make sure that you start out with dry pasta that you get in the box in the stores. So what we have here is we have a pot of boiling water. You can see I put the lid on it to help it boil faster, and then we're just going to add our dry pasta. You notice it kind of boils over a little bit there. Same thing as when we add salt to it, the surface tension creates a little bit of an explosion there. Now what I want to do here is I want to leave the top off, and I want that pasta to be able to absorb all this moisture. So as it's absorbing this moisture, you want to make sure that you can stir it. So stirring it throughout this cooking time is important, because if you don't stir it, the pasta will stick together, or it'll stick to the sides and to the bottom. Keep in mind also that if, depending on the type of pasta that you're cooking, it might take a little bit longer. So say you have an angel hair pasta, a very thin noodle pasta, not going to take very long to cook. If you have a thicker pasta, say a penne, or in this case we're using a rotelli noodle, these will actually take a lot longer to cook than those will. Now, given the time that we have, we want to make it as quick as we can. That's always how it is, no matter who, if you're cooking for 10 or if you're cooking for yourself. You want to get it done as quick as you can. Now what happens a lot of times is that the home cook will make the pasta and then be ready to throw the sauce in it and serve it right away. Well, in the restaurants, we didn't always have that convenience. So what we would do is we would cook the pasta ahead of time, and then we would cool it down under some cold water, and then we would put a little bit of oil in there so it wouldn't stick together, and then we would store it so that when we went to serve our pasta dishes, all we had to do was dunk them in some hot water real quick, get that heat back into it, be good to go. So as you're stirring this, you'll notice that it might start to stick, and that's okay, just kind of free it up a little bit. It will stick from time to time, and that's fine, just as long as you free it up. Now you don't need to stir it every 5 seconds, but about every 30 seconds to a minute is very important to keep stirring there. To see if it's done, you want to bite into it. If you can bite into it and it's real soft, but still a little bit firm, then it's done, because of the principle of carryover cooking. So what happens in carryover cooking is that heat is still inside or still on the outside of an item. Well, as you take it out and cool it down or let it sit, then that heat continues to cook that item. So, say for instance a steak. If you have a steak at medium rare and you pull it out at medium rare, it might end up being medium because it would finish. That carryover cooking would continue to cook it. Same thing with pasta. The carryover cooking definitely plays a role. So if you're not going to cool it down immediately by running it under some cold water, so in this case, we will throw it in the colander here. So I've transferred this to my colander. I've drained all of the hot water out of it, and I've run it under some cold water to kind of stop the cooking process. So what we're going to do is now transfer it to our bowl here. And this is the point in which we're going to oil it. So we're going to toss just a little bit of oil on the top here and just kind of mix it around. And that ensures that the pasta doesn't stick while it's cooling down and while we're holding it. It's a good way to use pasta if you want to cook it ahead of time and make those pasta meals right in the last second. That's a good way to do that. Otherwise, you can do it like you've always done it. You can cook it, throw the sauce in it, and serve it immediately.